there. What can you say about the pictures? The picture on my right shows the students who have bored faces and slumped over the desk, while the picture on the left shows that the kids are looking at something that caught their attention in the class. They look engrossed and interested about the activity by the teacher. These two pictures shows two different results coming from different teaching methods. Now, what can we conclude in these pictures? This means that teaching methods that rely on student-centered learning are considered a more effective style of teaching because, as the name suggests, lessons are based on the student and meeting his or her psychological needs to achieve the learning outcomes. Okay? The first major method in teaching is discovery method. John Dewey famously wrote about student-centered learning in the early part of 20th century. His book, The Child and the Curriculum, he stressed that children need a chance to explore, experience, and connect information in order to truly understand and internalize abstract principles. One of the most used versions of student-centered learning is the discovery learning method. It is said that the discovery learning method is an active, hands-on style of learning originated by Jerome Bruner in 1960s. With this method, students actively participate instead of passively receiving knowledge. Students interact with their environment by exploring and manipulating objects, wrestling with questions and controversies, or performing experiments. They are encouraged to think, ask questions, hypothesize, speculate, cooperate, and collaborate with others. They develop confidence in problem solving and feel comfortable using knowledge they already have. The discovery learning method is a constructivist theory, meaning it is based on the idea that students construct their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. To effectively use the discovery learning method in a classroom, a teacher needs to not only be flexible, but also well prepared, organized, and have an understanding of how and what is discovered in class is educationally valuable and can lead to further investigations for the students. They also need to be able to help young children who are already curious about the world around them learn how to ask questions that will help them understand their surroundings. Especially in elementary students, they are really curious. They have young minds and they really want to explore. That is why teachers need to be prepared, especially when using the discovery learning method. Teachers also have to know where their student is developmentally and how that will play in a role in a child finding success in a lesson. Additionally, teachers using the discovery learning method cannot wait until the end of the activity to assess a child. Instead, they interact with students to see what the student is doing and what kind of questions are being asked, and help them apply any new skills that may be necessary to solve problems and draw conclusions. Just like in science. When you are teaching science in elementary, of course, there is a possibility that there are experiments. That is why teachers who teachers who teach science will be using a lot discovery method, and so he or she cannot wait after the class to discuss and go to her students to ask questions. Are they doing okay, or are they struggling to do the experiment? Because they have to assist the students inside the classroom. That is discovery learning method. Overall, the discovery method is highly supported by educational psychologists. They agree with Kant, Piaget, Vygotsky, and Brunner, as well as educational philosopher Dewey, that learning is based on knowing and doing. If a teacher takes into consideration that a child already has some prior knowledge, then that teacher will be able to show students how their lives are connected to the content without having to work to create that connection. Again, discovery method is hands-on, focuses on the process, and encourages students to look for solutions, and not teaching students to memorize rules or concepts that are found in textbook or something that you have researched as a teacher. The next major method is process method. In here, we need to be explicit. Making the aspects of science that you consider implicit within your teaching explicit can significantly improve student understanding of the nature of science. By Mack, Jean, and Roth in 1999. Example: in teaching about evolution, you might focus on the data that supports the concept of change in organism, rather than on the conclusions that Darwin and others made. In the process, you could emphasize how evolutionary theory is supported by multiple lines of evidence from many lines of research up to the present. That is being explicit. Next is to tell stories. Bringing stories about scientists into your classroom helps students understand that science is a human endeavor. Those stories fall into two broad categories: references to historical figures that can help students understand how scientific knowledge has developed over time, and stories about scientists doing research today. It is to help students to see that science is not complete and that scientists are diverse. Research about this, including stories, suggests that stories have several benefits when used in the classroom. The use of stories results in making the concepts being taught more memorable, reducing teacher-student distance, assisting in illuminating a point, providing reasons for needing to know, stimulating the raising of pertinent questions in the minds of students, and producing explanation-seeking curiosity of both a historical and scientific type in students' minds. This is Klassen 2008. Another is, or the last one is, the use of real data. Perhaps one of the most significant things you can do in your classroom is to give students the opportunity to work with real data. Manduka and Mock, 2002. Nothing can compare with the insight gained by students who collects and works with data, where they have a chance to experience for themselves the challenges and successes that are a part of every scientific endeavor. In this strategy, you're enabling the students to be more accurate and fact-oriented with gathering data. So, those are the strategies under the process method. The third major process is the STS, or Science, Technology, and Society. As you can see, the first figure is the correlation between mutual elements of science, technology, and society. The results of 21st century science and technology developments are widely used for the benefit of society and bring impact to everyday aspects of life, both positive and negative. Impacts on the environment and society. To be able to interpret the impact of technological development as a result of development of science and technology, students need to understand the concept of science itself, which can be measured through student learning outcomes. FYI, learning outcomes are defined as behavioral changes in the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor fields. Second, the dimensions of revised Bloom's taxonomy that has several levels. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, and create. Measurement of students' cognitive learning outcomes is usually done by determination of minimum learning competencies. Example: chemical equilibrium, one of the materials learned by grade 6 students, is a concept that needs to be studied in a definite, concrete way that requires understanding of macroscopic, submicroscopic, symbolic phenomena, and the connectedness of all levels. So that is how the science, technology, and society is very important method in teaching, especially science. Main points of STS. STS learning approach based on constructivism theory that emphasizes the development of the concept in cognitive structure independently by students. The learning approach emphasizes that students can think, assess, solve problems, and make decisions. The constructivist foundation of STS is an advantage that can equip students to face the challenges of competition in the 21st century. The constructivist foundation of STS is an advantage that can equip students to face the challenges in competition in the 21st century. The STS learning approach requires that students can be included in setting, planning, implementing, and how to obtain information and how to evaluate learning. The principle of learning STS is a discussion of issues in society related to science and technology, so that issue in the community is the organizer in learning STS. The implementation of the STS learning approach is aimed at engaging students in problem-solving activities they have identified. Through the STS learning approach, students learn science in the context of real experience. Through the STS approach, students will be learned through phenomena or cases that occur in the community, which is an implication of science and technology. Just like when we talk about environmental issues, we also talk about how technology helps the environment, and how the community or the people in the community help in solving the environmental issues. So those three, the science, the technology and society, are interconnected or interrelated with learning, or with the learning that you gave to your students. We are done with the major methods in teaching, which are discovery, process, and STS. Now, let us proceed to the supplementary method. The first is use of human material resources, community-oriented. The human resources. This is a full range of human resources that are initially for success. These resources include planners, administrators, teachers, mentors, managers, and support staff. Here, we focus on teachers as one of the critical aspects of human resource commitment. Study after study shows that quality teaching is the most powerful factor in student learning. There are three critical domains of supportive interactions in good teaching: emotional support, organizational support, and instructional support. Teachers' emotional support. This includes positive connection of the teacher and students. Second, low level of negativity expressed by teacher and students. Third, teacher sensitivity to students' needs. Fourth, teacher regard for students' interests, motivations, and points of view. So this means that in the emotional aspect, it includes being positive and being sensitive of the teacher to the student so that the learning will be more successful. Organizational support includes behavior management and classroom productivity. As teachers, we are sort of the manager of the classroom. That is why it is very important on how you are going to manage the classroom and what will be your ways on how to control the behavior of the students in a positive way. Instructional support includes, first, learning strategies. How teachers engage students in activities and facilitate activities so that learning opportunities are maximized. Second, concept development. How teachers use instructional discussions and activities to promote students' higher order thinking skills and cognition. Third, quality of feedback. How teachers extend students' learning through their participation in activities. Fourth, language modeling. The extent to which teachers facilitate and encourage students' language development. Therefore, the teachers should be able to identify which teaching method is suitable for different lessons and activities in the science subject. Using the appropriate teaching methods will help the teachers to impart the lessons and the given activities effectively. The students will also learn a lot and nurture their skills and abilities in learning science in the classroom.
References.
And that wraps up my report. Yay! I hope you learned a lot. I hope I gave some meaningful discussion about the teaching methods that we are going to use, especially in the elementary science. Thank you. See you next time.